Hey guys, welcome to Indian Mountain and my review of my surly Pugsley Necromancer. So I've owned it now. In another week it'll be 2 months. It is my first fat tire bike, and so far so good. I bought it in early November, so one of the bonus was because I had bought it for winter riding, but there wasn't any snow yet, so I got to experience it for some regular mountain biking, and we've had some real-world snow conditions. We're kind of having a weird winter. Right now we don't have much snow, but we did get a couple nice dumps earlier, but both times it warmed up and they essentially all melted. So right now I think it's minus 10 Celsius, but we've only got a few centimeters of snow. So what do I got to say about the surly fat tire bike? An awesome machine. If you're looking for a bike to handle rough, rooty, rocky terrain, it's hard to beat one of these bikes. Essentially, there are 26-inch wheels, but because the tires are so fat, they're essentially the same diameter as a 29er, but with awesome ability to absorb cushion, and you run the tires at really low pressure, 5-10 psi, so they conform and contort to the rocks, so they go over rocks really well. You know, I'm coming off of a really lightweight hardtail, a Cannondale F4000 SL. Would I want one of these as my only mountain bike? Not really. If all I was riding was really gnarly off-road terrain, yeah, I could live with this, but I do a lot of combination gravel road where I'll ride my bike to where I'm going to ride the trails, and riding these bikes on the streets or roads, it's kind of lethargic. And it handles, I guess, in a lethargic way too. I did buy it mainly for winter riding, and in the snow, that stability is really nice. And actually today, because what had happened here weather-wise was we got a bunch of snow, most of it melted, it warmed up, then it started raining, and then that rain, it got cold again, and that rain froze. So the trail that I took in here, which runs along the lake and that cliff face over there, underneath it's basically all ice, the entire length of the trail with a few centimeters of snow, but it's ice that was over top of a gravel road, so there's all the little gravel rocks and stuff that they're covered with ice, so it's actually not as bad as sheer ice because you do get a little bit of grip. But with this bike it would slide out a little bit, but it would, because there's such a big contact patch, I mean, when there was traction available, it grabbed it right away. I think on a regular, you know, 2-inch wide tires, I probably would have wiped out a couple times, not badly, but I would have had to have put a foot down. And a cyclocross bike, I wouldn't want to have ridden a cyclocross bike what we came down. Secondly, because it's really rocky terrain. Nothing like what we're seeing here. I carried my bike partway up a mountain to get you guys this video, so it better get thousands of views. Yeah. So the whole frame is designed to accommodate a fatter rim and tire. So the front wheel on this is 135 millimeter spacing, so it uses the same spacing as a rear wheel on it to give you that extra width. This is the Pugsley Necromancer model. There is a model above this from Surly called the Moonlander, and it uses the clown shoe rim, which I use here on the front now. That's 100 millimeter wide, essentially as wide as some motorcycle rims. It's an 80 millimeter rim on the back, so I can run a 4.8, basically a 5-inch wide tire, and there's still clearance here for mud and shedding, other kind of stuff that might get stuck on your tire. Initially, the first few generations of these bikes, they had lots of issues with chain clearance in the tire, especially running small big on the back. It is a much wider bottom bracket than a typical bike, so your pedal spacing, your feet are wider apart. I've been running it with platform pedals. I have yet to ride it with clipless pedals, so I can't comment on how it is with clipless pedals. I haven't really noticed the extra width so much, but with platforms, I mean, basically you can put your foot at any angle that you want. With your clipless, you know, you got a little bit of float, but you're kind of in a fixed position. So I'm not sure how that's going to fare on my knees and ligaments until I try it. I really should try it. But I bought it for winter riding, and even the ride I did today, there were some big hills, and because it was ice underneath the snow, I had to push my bike up a couple of them because there was essentially no traction. So that's kind of why I went with platforms right now, is because most of the rides I do they're more adventure type rides, and there's gonna be some climbing involved, and I definitely wouldn't have wanted to climb part way up this with cycling shoes, especially with a metal cleat. So this has a crank setup designed specifically for this bike. So extra wide bottom bracket. What they've done in this case is it's basically a 2x9 setup. So they've completely forego the outer ring, and they put a bash guard there instead of a chain ring, and it's just to the middle and the small. So it's a 34 tooth, 11 tooth on the back, which doesn't sound like a very big gear, but with the diameter of these wheels, you'd have to be going over 40k an hour to be spun out, and you're rarely going to go 40k an hour unless you're bombing down some mountains. The small ring is a 22. I've got a 34 on the back, and really it comes down to how fit you are, really. Like right now, the 22, 34, with some of the hills we have around here, I wouldn't mind a 36 on the back. It's not bad. I'm going to be riding regularly, so my fitness is going to consistently improve. So, you know, in another month, I'll probably say that 34 is fine. But if you're not in great shape or in good shape, and you're going to be riding a lot of snow conditions, lower is better. I recommend a 36 tooth on the back. Price-wise, all these bikes right now are pretty expensive. You know, the componentry that's on it, you're going to probably find on around $1,000 bicycle, maybe even less. But lots of the components have to be specifically designed to accommodate, like the crank. The front derailleur setup is a special setup. There's a mounting bracket that sticks out further than the derailleur mounts to it. Front shifting, it works reasonably well, but it's not all that great. The bike did come originally with thumb shifters, and I can totally appreciate the simplicity, reliability of them, but ergonomically they suck. I have an injured thumb. It made it difficult to shift, and in some scenarios where hitting that shift right that second is the difference between having to walk your bike and ride your bike, you know, a grip shift or rapid fire is the way to go for the ergonomics of it. Whoa, almost fell here. These rocks are pretty icy right now. So all in all, there's been an explosion of manufacturers the past couple of years, so there's more and more companies offering these bikes. Prices are going to start coming down. This is kind of a workhorse. It's not a fancy lightweight bike. I think I'll probably end up keeping this one as my winter-only bike, and maybe next year I'll purchase something a little higher end. There's some carbon fiber offerings out for next year, some aluminum, some titanium. You're seeing bikes down, people are getting them down to 25 pounds, which is pretty impressive with 4-inch wide tires. But of course, as with anything in a bicycle, a lack of weight costs a lot of money, especially with low volume production bikes like this. So as every year goes by, you'll start seeing the weight come down and prices go down and start to stabilize. So that's my review of my surly Pugsley Necromancer. One thumb up because I can't give you two because I'm holding onto the camera with my other hand. If you're curious about trying one, I say go for it. If you live somewhere with rooty, rocky, gnarly terrain like we have around here, go for it. If you want it for snow riding, definitely go for it. Basically, this setup will allow you to spend more time riding the bike as opposed to pushing it. I've been riding in the winter since around 1991, 1992 with the bicycles and tires available in the early 90s. I had a lot of fun, but if I had a bike like this, man, it would have been a blast for all those 20 years. So I'm really looking forward to a solid winter of riding. As long as we get more snow. Beautiful Lake Superior, Sleeping Giant. I think that's Pie Island there. It's the 21st of December, so I think we're looking at, you can see the moon. I don't know if you guys can see it. So it's almost 4 o'clock. This is essentially the shortest day of the year. So I need to start making my way back to my car because it's going to be dark in another hour. It's going to take me almost an hour to get there. So yeah, thanks for watching. I've got a bunch of ideas for cycling vlogs, some little adventures I'm going to go on. But I want there to be real gnarly snow conditions when I do those videos. So yeah, my plans are kind of on hold for making some cycling vlogs because I want some real winter conditions as opposed to what we have now. So stay tuned for more videos. Bye.